Hello, everyone, and welcome to Gardening with Ben. In today's podcast, we're going to be looking at the background of Gardening with Ben. How did it all begin, and where did it all start? I've done an episode like this before, but I've moved podcast hosts, and it seems to have disappeared off Spotify. So, as I've got a lot of new listeners now from all around the world, I thought I'd do this again and recap so that you can all find out how I got into gardening myself and where did it all begin. Well, I am obviously gardening with Ben, and I am 35 years old or young, and I first got into gardening when I was about 13, 14, and that all happened because there was an allotment site near where we lived and it had become derelict for years. There was just one allotment holder left on the site, and the owners were saying if you can't get people back on this site, they're gonna close it and get rid of it. In 2 words, I don't think they are allowed to, but obviously if nobody's using it, then they have means and ways. But um, a committee were formed, and they decided to get the community involved and get funding to get the land cleared and get it back to what it was before. And basically all the land around this one person what was left on the site was cleared, and they managed to obtain funding to have some roads laid, so you could drive onto the site. They had standpipes fitted so that there was water on site, which is a crucial thing. If you are looking for an allotment, always make sure that there's a water supply, as it's easier enough obviously catching your own water, but when you have a summer drought like we did a couple of years ago, you will struggle to get water. So make sure you've always got water on site. So we've got plenty of water points around the site, and the committee was formed and it was advertised to the community to get people back gardening, and every single plot got took up, and my dad was part of this committee, and obviously he got a plot himself, as gardening goes way back in our family, back to my granddad, and he always used to grow his own tomatoes and lettuce and stuff in his garden. So obviously we've got the green fingers in the blood. So as my dad had his plot, I spent many a days going to the allotment, helping my dad on his plot, weeding it, helping things grow, planting seeds, and learning all about it. And that's one key thing that I like to encourage, that people who have children, grandchildren, encourage them to help you plant the seeds, and they will see them germinate, they'll see them come into the produce, and they'll see them on their dinner plate at the end. And it's really great to learn stuff like that, even if they have a few years off when they get in the teenage years and everything from the growing. They'll always probably come back to it later on in life and think, oh, I'm going to start growing my own veg and stuff again. So it's always good to encourage others. So I was helping my dad for all these years, and I turned the right age of being able to obtain an allotment. And I thought, why am I helping my dad when I can have my own plot, have my own bit of land that I can call my own, and somewhere that I can go and relax? Obviously, I was still living at home, so it's nice to have a bit of space away where I can just go and enjoy the allotment and sit and relax. So I applied for my own plot, which I got, and I've had it ever since. And it was a mess when I got it on. Thankfully, they came on and they cleared the plot for me with a big scraper and took it back to its natural look. Cleared all the rubbish off it so that it was a blank canvas for me, so I could start it from scratch. And that's where I got to. And every year I keep going a bit further down the plot and getting a bit closer to the top of it. It's took me many of years and I'm still not at the top yet. But that's the thing with an allotment. It's not about rushing it. It's about doing a bit and bit more every year. You can always do the improvements every single year. You don't have to rush into it, as the first year a lot of people rush into it and get carried away, and then a few weeks down the line the weeds start growing back and they lose interest. So keep as much of it as you can covered up until you actually need it, and that way you won't get inundated with all the weeds and getting on top of it. So that's how I got into the gardening, really. And a few years back, I thought I need to keep track of when I'm planting stuff, how I plant it, where I plant it, how well it's grown, and everything like that. And I created myself a little blog online just so I could track it myself and go back the year after and see how things have got on. And little did I know that people would start following me. I just called it the Yorkshire Gardener because I'm from Yorkshire, from Sheffield, for those that don't know. And I was just keeping track of it, and I started getting followers. And I thought, wow, why are people following me? I don't know why people are following me. It's just a page for me to keep track of stuff. But people were enjoying what I was doing. They were asking tips and advice, and I still call myself a amateur gardener because I'm always learning. Gardeners are always learning. There's no experts in the field because there's always many new ways to be learning how to garden and how to grow your own veg. Things change all the time and new tips come along and things change. So I started getting these few followers. It soon got up to like 500 followers and then up to 1,000, and I thought, wow, this is going good now. So I decided to start doing more videos for people, interacting with people, asking them questions. They were sharing their tips with me because, like I said, I'm always learning. It's good to learn from other people. And then it grew and grew and grew, and it got to about 8,000 followers. And I thought, wow, this is taking off now. And I couldn't believe it. So I started thinking, the Yorkshire Gardener is obviously just based for Yorkshire, and my followers were from all over the world. Uh, Even on these podcasts, I'm getting people listen from Canada, Ireland, Belgium, all over. It's great to look at the stats of where people are listening from. I'm a bit of a freak like that. I like to look at all the stats on things and see who's listening and where's listening. I can't tell who's listening, obviously, but I can see where people are listening from. And I've noticed quite a lot of people listening from France at the moment. I did learn French at school, but I'm probably not very good at French nowadays, so I won't be able to speak in French on these podcasts. I'm sorry about that. So yeah, it was growing and growing, and I thought I need a new name for this page. So I changed it to Gardening with Ben, as I thought it was a bit more personal, and you're coming gardening with myself and joining me on my journey on the garden. So that's how it's all took off, really. And yeah, I'm just trying to film and record more and more content for you. Like I said, with these podcasts, I trialed it last year. It worked really well. I've got lots of followers on many platforms, and these are going to start coming back on a regular basis. They might not be daily. I know I've done them daily for the last few days, but they might not be daily, as I might run out of topics, but I'm always looking around for new topics. So if you want to find out anything or have a topic for me, feel free to message me on Instagram or Facebook on Gardening with Ben page, and let me know what you want me to talk about because I'm always open to ideas. So yeah, it's January and the weather is still rubbish here in Sheffield, so I've not been spending much time on the allotment, but I'm spending a lot of time in the background planning and preparing. It's great to plan and prepare, which we will talk about another day, planning and preparing for an allotment. So yeah, that has been our podcast today. Just a bit of a background on gardening with Ben. Find out a bit more about me. We'll probably talk about it again one day. But in the meantime, as always, keep gardening.